Stop comparing other motorcycles to Harley Davidsons. That's what I should be telling myself every time I test ride a new motorcycle. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. And also don't forget to check out the website, RevelatorAlf.com, for all the latest biking news. So I'm doing all these test rides to see if I want to change my Harley Davidson or put money towards it to improve it, or whether I want to go to another branded bike and whether it's going to suit my needs in terms of commuting and touring. But I have to catch myself time and time again to not compare what I'm riding now in terms of the Harley Davidson and what I'm going to ride. I said in a previous video that the contrast is no greater between the different bikes when you test ride one bike and immediately get on your own bike and you see what the massive difference is, what the golfing technology is. There's no greater contrast. But I have to keep on reminding myself that the way I'm riding my Harley Davidson and the way I'm riding this test bike, as it were, this test ride bike, is completely different. And it's not even how I'm physically riding it and my foot position, my seating position, because those are a given. It's a different bike, right? It's going to be completely different. And it's not even about braking, and it's not even about suspension, because the braking and suspension is also kind of linked to the chassis as well, and the ergonomics of the bike and how you're riding it, how you're sitting on it, and the rake and trail of the front end, how that bike is going to handle in the bends and everything like that. So that's a kind of given. You kind of expect it to be different and you go with it, right? Because you're riding a different bike, so you've got to go with it. Where I'm really having to check myself is how the engine sounds, how it feels in terms of vibration or smoothness, let's say, but also what that power delivery is and where the power's coming in, but most importantly, where that torque is coming in as well. And I've had to catch myself a few times. I've certainly found myself speaking to motorcycle sales guys afterwards and saying, well, you know, it feels a little bit lackluster, and we kind of get into the discussion, quite a lengthy discussion, about where the power comes in. And I even say to the guys that I'm talking to, so look, I gotta stop thinking like this bike rides like a Harley Davidson or it's riding like a V-twin, because it's not. And especially when it's a 3-cylinder or 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder engine in some cases, the way that power and torque is delivered comes in at different RPMs, and the way you ride it, you know, you may have to roll on the throttle a little bit more, so you're operating at higher revs, so it feels as if you're screaming the bike. Because I'm riding a Harley all the time where it's really low revs and you're sort of chugging along most of the time, so it sounds different and it feels different and the power delivery is different. So I have to keep on checking myself. I have to keep on reminding myself this is not a Harley. The engine, the tech is completely different. And sometimes I've found myself thinking, you know, this bike isn't that great. It's not really to my liking. The power delivery isn't great. And then I go and test ride it again or give it another 15 minutes, 20 minutes after, let's say, I've done a video to kind of show you what I feel or what I'm thinking at the time. And as I'm riding back, I put it through a different set of scenarios, let's say, and then I think, oh, no, it kind of does. You know, you have to roll it on and the power comes in here and you feel that it is more torquey at this RPM, and if I knock it down a gear, it's still got loads and loads of power. Yeah, okay. So I keep on saying I go by a lot of first impressions, but a lot of first impressions is also being able to test ride it under different scenarios as well. And this is why I've always said that motorcycle reviews are useless unless you've ridden that bike for 6 months or a year in all sorts of conditions, all sorts of road conditions, weather conditions, under different loads, 2 up, 1 up, loaded with luggage, all that kind of stuff. So sometimes I'm making a comparison that I can't really make. I'm kind of looking at my Harley and thinking the way that rides, and then going on to another bike and thinking, yeah, this is a different bike. This is a different engine, and the power coming from that engine, or the torque coming from that engine, and the sound especially, and the smoothness is going to be completely different. And it is. They are different. What I've also found is that if you want a kind of Harley type riding experience, then you really have to go with another brand that's got a V-twin. something like a KTM, something like the Africa Twin from Honda, a Ducati, you know, that kind of thing, that kind of, obviously Indian, but that kind of engine, the V-twin, whilst it might be different, it might be liquid cooled, might have completely different revving range, different power delivery, those are the kinds of bikes that's kind of going to give you a similar feeling, but it's not going to give you the Harley Davidson feeling, of course, but it's going to give you that V-twin experience. But if you're going from V-twin to a triple or an inline 4 or inline 6, then all of a sudden it's everything is different. The whole feel, the whole riding experience is different. So I have to keep on saying, don't compare this Harley Davidson, my Harley Davidson, any other Harley that I've ridden with this other bike, because it is different. And it's exactly the same when I came from another branded bike. I actually came from a Triumph, and prior to that was a Kawasaki, and a whole history of British and Japanese bikes and a couple of European bikes here and there, but mostly completely different to a Harley Davidson. When I first came over, I had to remind myself, no, this Harley is a Harley and it's not that. It's not a Triumph, it's not a Kawasaki. I'm coming here for this riding experience. Do I like it? And I've always said within 5 minutes, yep, I knew this was the bike for me. I knew I loved the way this rode, and especially because it rode better than any other previous generation Harley Davidson that I'd ever ridden. It was good on the brakes, it was good in the bends, exceptional in the bends, I thought. And the power delivery I thought was fantastic, even though it's just a 107. Yeah, lots of people say, oh, 107 is not good, but actually I still think the 107 engine is a great engine for the M8s. So I came from other branded bikes into Harley Davidson 5 odd years ago, 4.5 years ago, and I think, actually, you know, this great bike. Yeah, I really like this. Now I'm thinking, do I move away from Harley again? And I'm kind of having to do the same thing again. I'm having to ignore what I'm currently riding and the experience which I'm riding now, and not compare that experience with the experience on a test ride, and just trying to isolate it and seeing if that bike is to my liking. Now, absolutely, I've found that some bikes are not to my liking at all. The way the engine feels. Other bikes, overall, I think they're okay, but the engine has been really, really great. The Suzuki V-Strom 1050DE, I thought the engine on that was absolutely fantastic bike. I don't like the overall look of the bike, I don't like the colour of the bike in terms of the one that I rode, but as an overall package I think it's great value for money as well. But the engine for me is where it's king, and because it's that V-twin, it kind of gives you that kind of Harley Davidson feel in a totally different way. But it's a close connection, if you know what I mean. As I say, Ducatis, KTMs, obviously Indians are going to be there as well. But you're kind of getting that V-twin experience, but it's delivered in a different way. So I think if you're hung up on a Harley Davidson ride, but you may want to move away from Harley Davidson, your first port of call may be some of those bikes that have V-twins or V4s, let's say, that have something that's going to give you a slightly different riding characteristic than a Harley Davidson, or an engine characteristic, but it's not so far removed like it would be with a triple or inline 4 or an inline 6, where you're going to really be operating at higher revs. Anyway, this is what I've found, but let us know your thoughts on that. Should you compare Harleys to other bikes, or should you just say no, they are an island, they are in their own category? You're trying to compare bikes that really shouldn't be compared with each other. Let us know your thoughts, and if you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notifications bell, and don't forget to check out the website RevelatorAlf.com for all the latest bike news. And I'll catch you again on another video where I will not be comparing Harley Davidsons to another bike. I promise. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'll catch you again. Ta-da.